Take your best shot.
What is going on, guys and gals? Welcome to Good Real Hunting. Happy Thursday night, everybody. It's your boy Brad. The Brett man is not here. This is weird. It's just me tonight. That's crazy, isn't it? I've never seen this before. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's not normal to just be me, and I don't know how to do all this stuff as far as all the the stream running goes, because Birdie does that. But I'm here and we're doing it, and we're gonna have a good time tonight because tonight, it's February the 29th today, which is the first time in 4 years we've seen such a date, which is crazy because I don't know, it just feels like it wasn't that long ago the last time we had one, but now it's been 4 years. Now it's February 29th, and Birdie had this idea. He said, "Hey, Brad, let's do this a weird ass show on this weird ass date that we don't usually get." And I said, "That's a good idea." So what are we going to do with today? We're going to be talking the top 10 weirdest decisions in horror franchise. I guess just to say the top 10 weirdest creative decisions in horror franchises. And I'll throw a few bonus tonight because Birdie's not here. And it was basically going to be a top 10 for both of us, but now it's just a top 10 for me. And I'm going to throw in some extras. So we're going to have like a top 15 tonight. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. That was a lot because I don't know. I just get I get nervous when I'm by myself and I talk a lot and I'm like, I get confused. Whoa. Okay. Hey, all right. No problem though. We're going to have a good time. We're back with it. Okay, so let's see who's here tonight, and we'll get the party rolling. And that being said, if you guys have some weird horror moments you want to talk about, you can throw it in here. Birdie was a little bit sick today. We hope he's feeling better, and he comes back next week, and we get back to normalcy, something like that. Whatever. Either way. Okay, let's see who's in the chat. We have Chester. Good to see you, my friend. Antonis. What's up, Lamontre? How's it going? Rosie, I usually don't do this, but since Birdie's not here, I'm going to give you your rose from Birdie. He told me to give it to you. So there it is. That is for you, and he's probably already done it. Birdie, I see that you're in the chat too. I hope you're feeling good, my friend. Thanks for getting me started here tonight with this show. And, of course, Birdie, as we go through this list tonight, why don't you go ahead and drop us your top 10 weirdest creative decisions in horror franchise history as we go throughout, because I want to know, and I'll read them for you. And if you guys have some too you want to talk about, again, throw them in here. Let's see who else we got here. Got a pretty good start here tonight. It's going to be fun. Chester, Rosie talking. Adrian, yo, Adrian, no, how you doing? Never talked to a door before. Good to see you. Zodiac Z, always good to see you. Thanks for being here tonight. And Raymond, what's up, Raymond? Good to see you as well. What else we got going on here? What else we got going on? Oh, Jan. I forgot how to pronounce it, but it's good to see you. And it wouldn't be a good real time. See, now I have to mispronounce names because Birdie's not here to do it, so I got to do it. So if it's not Jan or Jeannie or whatever, I apologize. But we'll get that corrected. We're going to fix it. Somebody's got to do it. Brett's not here. Brad's got to do it tonight. Okay. Let's see. Holly, good to see you. Good to see you. Mark Jones in the house. What's up? We're going to have fun tonight. Brother Fluff, of course, good to see you. As always, man, hope you're doing well. I think I got Ashton already. And let's see here. Brooke, good to see you. Happy to see you here. Of course, hey, here in a second, I'm going to talk about a few other things before we get rolling in this list, because again, it's going to be short if I just run through the top 10, because it's just me, so it won't be too quick. So if you guys have any cues at any point, I'll get you an A on my end, so that's no big deal. Let's see what else we got going on. Gory Tiger, what's going on? Chris Snyder, man, how are you? Good to see you, of course. Always, it's fun to have you in the chat. If I miss anybody, I apologize. There's a lot of you in here, and I'm surprised because it's just me. So, I'm outmanned, and that's okay. No worries. So, anyways, what I was going to say a second ago, though, of course, we want to appreciate the Patreons. I want to do that. You guys are right here. Let me get this. Not that I don't like you, Chris, but I think I'll just, move that for now, and I'll bring you back up later, my friend, because you're a good guy. Oh, Chad's in the house too. What's up, dude? You sexy mofo. This guy, he's everywhere. He's always everywhere. He's the boogeyman, and sometimes he's Jason, and sometimes we'll talk about both of those tonight. Okay, so thank you for our patrons. Thanks for supporting our channel here tonight. As Birdie says, you guys are the backbone of the channel. It's great to see you. All these guys here are fantastic people. Of course, we have some other options as well. We got the YouTube memberships as well. Those start as low as 99 cents. You can get access to those badges, those emojis. I'm talking too fast because I'm nervous. Whoa. Okay. But yeah, we appreciate all these members as well. It's good to see all these guys on the list as well. If you can't do either option, that's okay. Just being here, liking the video, sharing the video with your friends, subscribing, being in the comment section, dropping comments down below after the fact. All that stuff helps out tremendously as well. What I was going to say is, I know there's a couple patrons and members in here as well. Keep me and Birdie posted. We're looking on revamping that whole program just to make it a little bit more simple, because right now we have some tiers over on our memberships. We have different tiers on our Patreon. They're very different. Well, they're not very different, but they are a little different. So some of our perks go to some, and some of our perks don't go to the others. It gets kind of funky, and we can't keep track of it because we're dumbasses. So it would be helpful for your feedback as we look to revamp some of that stuff. I know we're trying to work on a few things that basically provide you guys more value, because I know there's not really a lot of feedback on some of the perks we are trying to do, like the Patreon videos and the live streams and stuff like that. Now, we always like doing the Patreon live show. That's always fun. We have a good time, very secluded. It's just the four of us in there, me, Birdie, and a couple of you guys. It's fun. It's cool. But we're looking to do some other things as well. Matt Fauci, dude, what's going on, my man? It is good to see you as well. You are one sexy son of a bitch. Of course, we got the Real March Madness coming up next month in March. Today's the last day of February. That's exciting. Action movies galore. 64 of the best action movies you've ever seen. And we're going to pick the best one together as a unit. It's going to be great. We'll talk more about that later. Let's see what you guys are saying tonight. Let's see what Birdie's saying in here. I saw him post a couple things in here. Let's go. Let's scroll all the way back. Let's take it back to the beginning. Goodrill says, which is Birdie, by the way, most of the time, spoiler alert. Sometimes it's me, but hasn't been in a while, because Birdie pretty much runs it as far as responding to people. So I just let him do his thing, and I don't try to get too, I don't try to encroach on that. Birdie says, it is weird, Brad. Fitting for tonight's theme. Yeah, it's a weird day. It's a weird day, and it's a weird day on Goodrill. Here we go. Let's see what else we got here. Starting to get too crazy, Brad. Just be yourself. It's fine. It's cool. You can do this. It's no big deal. Be pumped. Push it to the limit. A lot of people saying, hey, here, Brother Fluff said he dated a woman who was born on Leap Day. She's turning 10 today. This guy comes in with these bangers of a joke, man. I like it. I like this guy a lot. It is cool if you date somebody on leap year, though, because you only have to celebrate the birthday once every 4 years. So you don't have to, buy a lot of birthday presents every year or anything like that. You can really kind of save up for 4 years for a birthday present. So you could really do pretty good. You could actually go out and get some diamonds or something like that, and basically just average that out over the 4-year period. You're doing pretty good. It's not bad. I like that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. Raymond too. He worked with someone that was born on Leap Day years ago, of course. Again, it hasn't been very many years for them because they've only had a few birthdays since then. So that's kind of cool. I like that as well. Let's see. Oh, now Birdie Cut. He says, thanks, Brad. Go kick some ass. That's what I'm going to try to do. Whereas they say in Gotham, let's kick some ice. They do say that sometime. Chris said, riding solo today, I see. You're right about that. I am. We're going to have a little fun tonight. Going to get crazy. No rules. No rules tonight. And here's another thing, guys and gals. Birdie was planning the whipped cream madness for the show tonight. So I think since he wasn't able to show up tonight and provide the whipped cream madness, he was going to put it on both nipples, rub it in really good, and then just, probably just get a straw and suck it up. He wasn't able to do that tonight, so we're just going to have to get 2 cans of whipped cream next time he's here, and we'll just make that party happen. It's going to be fun. Um, let's see what else is going on. Here we go. The sexier part of Good Real Hunting. Please don't tell Brett I said that. I won't do it. I won't even say it out loud. Your secret is safe with me, my friend. I won't say that. Okay, here we go. Gene said, I rock. That's cool. I appreciate that. You rock as well, and we like it when you're here. And that's what, going in, Brother Fluff. We've seen shirtless Birdie. Now we need shirtless Brad. It could happen at some point. I did promise to Bert that I would keep my clothes on for tonight's show. I know it was something that I was kind of like, contemplating, like bending the rules a little bit, but he said that's the one rule that I did have tonight. I know I said there's no rules, but now there's one. So it's all good. Now here's an idea Chris is throwing out. You should try a live stream and determine on which perks people like the best and which ones you guys like doing the best. For sure, that's not a bad idea. Maybe next time we do a Patreon live stream, we'll talk about it, whoever's in there, and we'll see what's up. I know we always like doing the Patreon live stream, so we'll throw another one of those in there, or like a pre-show kind of hangout or something like that when we do our live shows on Thursdays. That's all up in the air. I like the idea. Shirtless perks. Always an option, but only for the highest of bidders, of course. Birdie's got his top 10. I'm excited to see it. I hope you guys have yours as well. Again, we'll throw in a few extra out there. Let's see. Okay. What is Chris saying here? He said Brad is the alpha male of the duo. Bert is the plucky comic relief. Both have a purpose here, and they nail it. I do think that we both we fill different voids. Hey, she's got gaps, Hey, she's got gaps. And I got gaps, and together we fill our gaps together, or something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, double cream pie. Always a good idea. Okay. So here we go. We're back on track. Top 10 weirdest decisions, creative decisions. The reason I like this idea is there's, we have a lot of horror franchises out there. I think we'll be talking about the big 3 a lot tonight because there's a lot of weird moments in those franchises. And the moments I'm going to talk about aren't necessarily good or bad. Some of them are bad. Some of them are decent. But when you look at it objectively, it's just a weird decision. It's something strange. It's something that's like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why did you do that? One thing we're not going to talk about tonight that's not on this list is going to be the Halloween 3 decision to go away from Michael Myers and into the anthology realm. It could be on other people's list, but for me, I think it was actually a decent idea at the time. They killed off Michael in Halloween 2, and they said, all right, cool, we're going to move on. We're going to do something else. Good decision, I think, stick with your guns. You killed Michael Myers. Now what are you going to do? Let's go on, move on to do some other stories. So I'm not going to talk about that. Well, I guess I did, but I'm not going to say that it was a super weird decision because I think I can kind of get behind that. I like that idea. That's kind of something decent. But again, there's a couple other ideas on here that I did like, but they were just even weirder than that. And we'll get into it. And as I kind of go along, I got actually 17 on the list. So fuck it. Let's just do them all. I mean, we're here, we're live, we got time because Birdie's not here to give his 10. So let's fill the time up. And if you guys have some we'll talk about, we'll talk about them. So I don't know how much in order these first 7 are going to be, or really the top 10 for that instance, but they're definitely going to be my top 10 weirdest decisions. And let's start off number 17 or 16 or wherever this is. Let's talk about a moment that is Halloween Resurrection. Okay. And I'm really talking about here the decision in that movie to retcon the end of H2O and say that didn't happen. Michael Myers freaking broke this dude's fucking, his throat, his larynx, if you will, larynx, whatever. Broke his throat. He can no longer talk, switched his outfits out. And then Michael went out there naked or in a paramedic outfit, and he just walked into the woods with a knife in his hand. And then Laurie Strode killed the fake ass Michael that he put the clothes on. All that shit was just weird to me. Again, I think that, and it wasn't worth it, right? Because you did it basically to give us another Halloween movie because you can't really do it at this point unless Michael Myers is there. But it wasn't worth it because Resurrection kind of sucked. No offense, Chad. I know you're in the chat and you like the movie. I'm happy for you. I really am. And there's moments of the movie I like too. It's nostalgic for me. It's the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters. But it was very weird. You had a banger of an ending with H2O, and you retconned it in Resurrection, only to kill Jamie Lee Curtis about 5 minutes into the movie, and do something completely different, which again is fine. But you already killed Michael. You kind of got to stick to that. At least let it lie for a while. Come back later. But this came like pretty soon after H2O. What 2003? Is that right? 2003, 2002, something like that. Like just a few years after. It wasn't time. It wasn't time to do it. That was strange. So we all know that was weird. Let's talk about another weird moment. Okay, we're gonna go to the Child's Play franchise here. Chucky, little Chuckles. That little guy that just, he follows you around. Anytime you drop food on the floor, he picks it up and eats it. Because that's just what you do, and you don't even have to vacuum or sweep or anything because he's always there and he's eating your fruity pebbles when you miss your bowl. Um, I found it kind of weird that they gave him some offspring in Seed of Chucky, a seed, if you will. I thought that was strange. Um, I could kind of get behind the Bride of Chucky and that whole thing with Tiffany. I thought that was decent. That was entertaining. It worked. Now it was weird when they were fucking. That's another decision that was weird because they're dolls and they don't have parts. But I guess they did that night. You never know what happens when you get a little champagne and there's mirrors on this. Like things happen. Things happen. People connect, and they did it. They did it. But the fact that Tiffany got pregnant, and then there was a kid, there was a baby Chucky that came out. I knew they were getting silly with Bride of Chucky. It was very comedic, and it worked in Bride of Chucky. It was fun. It was a good time. But the fact that you had a pregnant doll at some point in between, and they popped out a baby Chucky, aka Glenda, however she would like to identify. That's fine. But what the hell? It's kind of strange. I just don't know really who greenlit that idea and why. And again, when they did the movie Seed of Chucky, it was just weird. Like it was really focused on this family dynamic between them instead of like Chucky killing people, and it just was a very far departure from the earlier movies. Now, again, people have fun with it. Britney Spears did not, but at the end of the day, it was just a weird decision. And we got some people talking about it. Mirrors on the ceiling and water beds. You never know what's going to happen. Anything can happen in those situations. Um, a rubber Tiff. Look at me. I am rubber. I do love that scene though when they get together. That's pretty funny. I like that a lot. What else we got going on here? Oh, here we go, Raymond, talking about how about greenlighting Halloween 5 and 6 without making the story make sense. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. Chris said, every since Colt, every creative decision has been weird. That's true. They started duplicating Chuckies. There's multiple Chuckies running around. The first season of the show was pretty good, but I haven't seen the other two. We're going to get into some other stuff, though, at the end of the day. Raymond said Seed of Chucky is next to last on his franchise. It's last on mine, man. I just don't really enjoy it. I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't really ever want to. Okay, moving on. I really wanted to put this in the top 10, but I feel like it was kind of a cheat code, so I didn't want to do it. The next one I'm going to talk about here in kind of the honorable mention stage is going to be making a franchise in general, making a franchise out of The Exorcist. You had the first movie, which is classic. It was one of the most beloved, most critically successful horror movies of all time. Still is, nominated for Oscars, all the good stuff. Still holds up. It's scary. It's a good story. It's very compelling, but it's very clearly a one-off story. You can't really build much off of that. Now, granted, I do like Exorcist 3. I like it a lot. I almost, enjoy my time watching that movie than I do the first movie because it's a little bit less boring overall. Not that, Exorcist is super boring, but it is a slow movie for the most part. Exorcist 3 is a little bit, it's got a higher pace to a quicker pace. It's moving along. It's fun. It's creepy. You got freaking Brad Dourif in there tearing it up. Also, shout out Brad Dourif, who's now been on 2 of these mentions so far. Anyway, but you also had some other stuff like Exorcist 2. I haven't seen it, but I know it's weird. Exorcist the Beginning. I saw it when it came out. Don't really remember it, but I don't really remember liking it. Exorcist Believer. Let's not get into that shit. Bringing back Ellen character, whatever her name was, and doing the whole thing with her eyes. I won't, spoil it, but who gives a shit if I do, because it just is fucking stupid. That whole scene, I guess I could say the decision to bring her back is a weird ass decision in general, because what the fuck, right? Like, what are you gonna do? It doesn't really make sense. It's not like she's like, they do make her some kind of an expert, I guess, on the field subject, but at the same time, it's just weird. She was just I don't know. And she came back and she got fucked up, and there's that. So it's just weird for me in general. Um, but again, okay, that's one. Let's talk about another one. And I know Birdie and Matt Fauci, a couple other people might get mad at me for this. That's okay. I'm talking about the ending here of Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. You guys know I don't like the movie at all. I think it's one of the most boring movies in the franchise. It is the most boring movie in the franchise. It drags. The characters suck. That's not what we're getting into here. They do take Jason to New York in the movie. Takes him a minute to get there, but we all know that. That's not a surprise. He gets there eventually. They tear some shit. They actually have some good sequences. He's chasing people in subways. He's busting into these diners. He's fighting his freaking kin dude that takes his spot in the next movie or a couple movies later. Some good stuff with New York. It's all decent. There's people getting freaking drugged in alleys and all these fucking people getting mugged and dudes getting dumped upside down in acid bins and teleportations going on, all kinds of weird stuff. But specifically what I'm talking about here is the ending itself. Okay. You're in the city of New York. You're finally there. You're at your poster moment of the whole movie. Everybody's exciting. And they end the movie in a sewer. Okay. A sewer that it's the same sewer that you could find anywhere. This sewer was a little bit bigger than one you might find in, say, Haddonfield, but it's still like, okay, it could be a Chicago sewer, it could be a Atlanta sewer, it could be a Los Angeles. Like, it's just a fucking sewer. It's a generic little fucking sewer. You're running around. You have New York somewhat at your disposal, and you end the movie in the sewer. And even worse than that, it gets even weirder than that because they fucking do this whole thing with the acid. It kind of like, the toxic waste comes through the fucking sewer and it washes everybody's sins away. And it also washes, Jason's mask away, and it washes him straight back to childhood. And it's not even his own childhood. It's some other dude's childhood because this Jason has hair and he's sitting there and he's almost naked. He's got underwear on. But he's like sitting there, he's like, and he's spitting out water, like throwing up water everywhere. At one point, there's another little boy Jason inside Jason's mouth. And he comes out, he's surfing kind of like, remember Escape from LA? Whenever Kurt Russell's like surfing and it's playing like Beach Boy, like that's kind of what I think of when Jason's coming out of his own mouth. And that's in the deleted scene, of course, but still, it's just fucking weird. The whole thing's weird. Jason, he's washed away. He's reborn. He's now innocent little boy again. And I just don't even fucking know how to begin to explain what the fuck was going on with that ending. I don't like the ending. I know people like the movie. And there's moments of the movie that are fun. Okay. You got the Sonic kill, you got the boxing kill, a couple other things, but the ending was just fucking dumb. Come on. I would have rather gone back to that cruise ship to end it than a fucking sewer, or have a Pennywise cameo at the least, or at this point, a Michael Pennywise, a Michael and Pennywise cameo. You could have made it work. Cause Michael and Jason both like sewers now. I guess Jason doesn't like them, but whatever. All right, here we go. Moving on. Let's see. It's not generic. Talking about the sewers, the Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters slime is down there in that sewer. That's true. I mean, that it's not just any sewer. I guess there's slime and all that stuff. And Blu-ray. I think all the Friday the 13th movies are fun and watchable. Yeah, they are fun. We love those movies. And I've seen Friday the 13th Part 8 more than I've seen a lot of great movies because I just love the franchise. And when I watch one, I usually watch two and then three, and then I watch them all because I love it and I have a good time. But Part 8's pretty boring and I don't like it. Let's see what else we got. There's some Exorcist talk in here too. Bertie, I knew you'd be mad about the part 8 talk there. I knew you would. Snyder says Goes to Hell is the most boring in the franchise. I disagree. I think it is boring, but it's got better kills, and it's got more going on. You have this body hopping thing. It's weird. It's weirder as fuck. It's not, it's definitely not your traditional Jason movie. That's for damn sure. But it's, it's got some stuff going on. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with some stuff here. Oh, Chester said he loves the song in the part 8 in the opening. I do too. That's one of the best parts. That and was Welcome to the City Where the Crack Don't Kill You. No, wait, what does it say? That's not it. If the crack don't kill you, then the hookers will. Living in the city. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, yeah, that song is good too. But yeah, The Darkest Side of the Night is awesome. I like that. That whole opening montage with the scenes of New York. It's cool. It's cool stuff. You got that little voiceover they're doing. It's just fucking weird. And the opening of 8 kind of sucks too. Okay, let's talk about another one. This one, again, this is kind of what I was saying earlier. It's a questionable decision, but it wasn't necessarily bad. We're talking Scream 3, the reveal at the end that director Roman, aka the brother, half brother of Sidney Prescott, has been pulling all the strings since Scream 1, and including Scream 1, actually. From the beginning of Ghostface's arrival, he was the mastermind of it all. Now, I do like this in the sense that it makes that final battle between him and Sydney, and he's the only killer in the movie too, which I actually kind of like. I like it because you have a little bit more of a, I guess, it's more of an emotional ending. It's more impactful because of that. He's like the guy he's the author of all your pain. Oh, you have a brother, Birdie. You have a brother. Um, he was the author of all her pain. And you have this epic climax between the two of them that's pretty cool. But I feel like to me, it kind of takes away from the Scream one. It takes away from Billy and Stu and their legacy, because we're up to this point, we believe that they were their own bosses. They did this. So actually, Billy was the boss and Stu was like the sidekick kind of deal. But it was all Billy's idea, and that made sense. That in Scream one, that was to me, I just don't buy it. Is all. I think with the way Billy kind of put himself together at the end of the first movie and explained everything, I don't buy that he was set up by Roman to do all this stuff. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, again, once you look past it, I like the ending of Scream 3. I like the battle. I like the fight that they have. I like all that. That's it's and Chris said it's his favorite final act. It's hard to disagree with that. It's personal. It's a great Duke session between the two of them. You get some good moments, some good fake outs. Patrick Dempsey was there. It was a good time. Raymond, that is a good point. That's one thing I don't like about the end of Scream 3 is the fact that Dewey kills Roman and Sydney does not. He kind of steals her kill there, I think, because for such a personal climax, I think she needed to do it. And Chris said it adds to Billy and Stu's legacy. Dude is clearly unstable and easily influenced and wanted all the credit. Makes sense for Billy. Yeah, I just, I like Billy being like the bad guy. I don't like him, somebody pulling his strings for him. Now it does kind of give you a little bit more to think about when you're watching the first Scream, but I like Billy being the guy. I like that better. Here we go. Let's talk about another one. Let's talk about Pet Cemetery. Okay. Let's talk about the remake and the decision they made to pull a curveball on us all and not let Gage die, but the sister die. Ellie, I think's her name, if I'm not mistaken. Ellie Creed, I think that's right. She's the one that dies in the car accident, and she's the one that gets resurrected and fucks shit up. To me, I don't like that as much. I thought it was a little creepier with Gage being the killer in the first movie, and a little bit more unsettling too, because he's only like 3, maybe even younger than that in the book. I can't remember. I haven't read it in a long time. Which is really, I mean, it's a fucked up, it's very tragic, but then when he comes back and starts slicing freaking Achilles, man, you know what? He's the equivalent. He's actually probably worse than artificial turf fields in the NFL for Achilles, because this motherfucker, like, there's no coming back to what he did to our boy Judd across the street. You can't come back from that. Aaron Rodgers, he came back. He could have came back. What, 10, 12 weeks, Birdie? But he didn't, of course. But like Judd wasn't coming back from what Gage did to his Achilles. It just wasn't going to happen. Now, granted, he died and got his face slit open too, but that's a different side of the story. To me, I don't know. It was weird. And then even weirder is they spoiled it in the trailer, the twist, which I didn't like that either. I get what they're trying to do. She's a little bit older, maybe a little bit more intimidating because she's bigger and she can probably, put up a fight a little bit more. But there's something really about the innocence of a 3-year-old being completely, being the bad guy. That to me is crazy. And that's the way Stephen King intended for it to happen. And nobody really writes a better story than he does. So maybe stick with the writer on that one. Okay. Raymond said it makes more sense for him. Yeah, because kind of what I was just saying. Gage was a toddler. He wouldn't be able to do what he does. But again, I mean, that's the way it was written. That's the way, like in the book, he's even more crazy. And I think he's even younger in the book than he was in the first movie. And that's really just what makes it fucked up because he is just a toddler, but he's wreaking all this havoc. And because of, that's your son, dude. Like that's the son that you brought back to life. You're not going to fucking kill his ass again, not a second time. So, he yeah, he kind of has that appeal. Uh the way he can get close to you without, you thinking he's a threat because he's your son and then he fucks you up. Like that's kind of the thing I like about it. Okay. Moving on. I think we're good to move into the kind of the top 10 now. Purdy said the Jets kept Rodgers in the grave and forgot to bury him. That's what they did to do. Let's see what's going on here. I think we're ready for the top 10, guys. I think we can go ahead and move in there. Let's do it. Number 10 for me is going to be the movie Leatherface. This is the one that came out in 2017, I think, just a few years ago. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Just the movie in general. What the fuck? I don't necessarily think Leatherface is the best part of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, but he is definitely what brings the money in. He's definitely what puts asses in seats. He's the guy you put on the poster. And to have a movie that doesn't even have Leatherface in it, really, is strange from the get-go. But then you tell this really weird whodunit story on top of it where you don't really know you do, but you don't know who Leatherface is throughout the whole movie. And it's just like you fall in this family, but it's not really the family that you know. I really don't see it. Nobody cares what Leatherface was as a kid. Like that, nobody has that interest. Nobody has that intrigue. I don't. I mean, if any of you do, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak for you, but I just don't think that the decision was a good one. And when I saw the movie, of course, I saw it when it came out. It came out on HBO or like Sci-Fi or some bullshit. Like it was kind of hard to find. AMC, I don't even know. It fucking sucked, dude. It had nothing good about it. It had nothing what makes the Texas Chainsaw movies work, which is a crazy, creepy family that does crazy shit. Like it had that, but it wasn't one that worked. Leatherface was running around. I don't really remember it all that much, but I know I'm never going to watch it again unless we have to do it here on the channel at some point, which I'll do it, but I'm going to not do it sober probably. I don't really know the appeal to it, and I don't know who asked for it, and I don't really know, again, like, who fucking cares? Like, it was weird. Somebody said Steven Dorff earlier, obviously the best part of that movie. But once he's gone, it just fucking goes downhill, man. That's a train wreck. And yeah, Chris, I agree. The family is really the best part of the movies, but they didn't really nail the family vibes here either, at all in the movie. Blu-ray said it felt like a road horror movie. Yes, it did. That's pretty much what it was. It's almost like Devil's Rejects. You had a group of the family like running on the run, killing people. But it wasn't good. Holly said it had a good twist. The rest of the movie, blah. Yeah, it had the twist in there, but it was really just thrown in there just to have a twist, I think. Like, because they had that one dude that was clearly supposed to be Leatherface. Like, that's the one they wanted because he was big. Like, he was kind of weird. You're like, that's going to be Leatherface. But then it pans over and it's this normal looking kid that's like, not like, I don't see the connection. I really don't see how this kid grew up to be Leatherface. It was fucking weird. And yeah, Blu-ray, that's a good point. As a solid standalone film, maybe it could have worked, but as a Texas Chainsaw movie, what the fuck? Was it even in Texas? I'm sure it was. It had nothing to do with Texas, though. It was fucking weird, dude. It was just, I don't know. I didn't like it. Okay, moving on. Oh, what did Birdie say? Hold on. Let's get his top 10 in here, too. I saw he posted it. Must see, I scrolled right over it. Let's see what he say. Okay. Anything going 3D, any franchise. Yeah, Saw 3D, Final Destination 3D, Friday the 13th 3D, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Chapter, or whatever it was called. Freddy's Dead. That went 3D for a minute. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I agree with that, too. That's a good point. 3D rarely works in horror. I don't know if it really actually ever did work great. But, all right, moving on. Number 9. I'm going Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And the reason I'm talking about this is the decision to make this was so a little bit of context here. This was actually the last Nightmare on Elm Street movie I ever saw. I grew up watching the original one. I even grew up watching Freddy's Dead. I watched the shit out of Freddy's Dead as a kid. It came out close to the time I was born. Part 5, part 4, I watched them all. I watched 3 kinda late too, but 2 was the last one I saw. And again, I like this movie. It's one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street films. But the decision to make him, like, possess the protagonist in the movie, Mark, what's his name? I can't remember. Um, instead of him, like, haunting him in his dreams, it was a very strange departure from the first movie. It felt like it broke all the rules that were set up in the first movie. You know, you have this thing where the main character, what's his name? Mark. His name's Mark, right? It's Mark, right? Mark Patton. Thank you, Birdie. You have him like killing people, but that's because he's possessed by Freddy. He's waking up. He's got fucking, he's got the Freddy glove and shit, and like, spanking dudes in the shower, whatever. There's some weird kills in there too, some weird moments. But you have that scene, which is a really cool scene of Freddy like in his like throat, like coming out of his body and like ripping his body to pieces. That's the other dude, the friend, I guess, that got ripped to pieces. I don't even know. It got weird. It got really strange because he came back and he was still there. Jesse was his name in the movie. Thank you. You had that scene with the birds in there being crazy and blowing up in the air, kind of like you're playing Duck Hunter, with explosive ammunition. I thought it was just strange. I just remember the first time I watched that movie, I was really confused the whole time because it really did just kind of play out like a possession movie, the way everything came out. Again, it's good. It's enjoyable. I like it. I almost like it more than Dream Warriors. Putting it probably number 2 in the franchise, 2 or 3. But it was strange. I was confused. He pops out at that party at the end, that pool party. He's not even in dreams anymore. He's just wreaking havoc in the real world. I didn't really understand what they were doing in the movie. I still don't really understand the decision to do what they did. But again, does it distract from me when I'm watching the movie? No, I enjoy it. It's different. It's definitely the most unique of the original movies as far as the story it's telling. And maybe that's why I like it. I really liked the Freddy character in that movie. I thought he was awesome. He was scary, had a dark voice, fucking, he was dark in general. Um, I liked it. I like it a lot, but it was still, to me, it's just a weird decision. And again, that's what I'm saying. These aren't necessarily all bad. A lot of them are. Some of them are just weird. And that'll move on to my number 8. To Birdie, did you post a number 9? Let me see. I don't want to miss you because I want to get your list in too. I know you worked on it. I don't see it yet, but when I do, I will read it off for you, my friend. Yeah, that's right, Holly. You've got the body. I've got the brains. I've got the brains. Yeah, I like that. Chris, this is number 3 in the franchise. Yeah, it's great. It's a solid movie. It's great. How about, okay, here's one Raymond said. How about the Friday the 13th remake, killing off Jenna and keeping Whitney? Always hated that. I do too. And there's a few kill-offs that I always thought was strange. In multiple franchises. I didn't really put those in here because I think that really kind of goes on another list. That's just bad decisions in horror franchises. But that, I agree, Raymond. If I would have thought of that, that was a weird decision. That didn't make any fucking sense. That was weird. Okay. Birdie said for his number 9, anything going to space, any franchise, Jason, Leprechaun, you name it, anytime to go to space, it's weird, unless it's Alien. Right, Birdie? I think that one's fair. That one's fair game. That's not too weird. Yeah, so I agree though. I think that's strange, and I almost put Jason X on the list, but there's weirder shit in that franchise. We'll get to that here in a minute. So what I said before, I said it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is weird. That's my number 8 as well. You guys know I love this movie. Bert's proud of me here for bringing this up. I love this movie, and I wouldn't change it. But I'm going to go ahead and mention Corey Cunningham here and his storyline being in Halloween Ends, in the newest Halloween trilogy by David Gordon Green. You had the first 2 movies, Halloween 2018 and Kills, setting up this one story. And then you have Halloween Ends come in that's supposed to end this trilogy, and you reintroduce a whole new character by the name of Corey Cunningham. Now, shout out to him because he's one of the best characters in the whole franchise. I don't care. But you give him the protagonist spot, and he kind of takes over where it probably should have been like maybe Allison or something, like to kind of finish off what they started. And you make him the frontal point. You make him the protagonist and the killer in the movie at one point. So to me, that's a weird decision, especially number 3 in a trilogy and a 3-movie series. You reintroduce this whole thing and create this whole other story. Again, I love it. I think it's fantastic on a standalone level, and I think even in the trilogy, it works. It's just a weird decision for me. It's kind of like, okay, we're kind of finally see this Halloween end. Here we go. It's going to get crazy. Jamie Lee's going to kick some ass. And then it begins a whole new thing, and then it ends, and then Michael Myers shows up at the end. The whole thing is just weird for that. Again, I love the fuck out of it, so I don't hate it. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing per se. It's fresh. It gives us a new feel for the franchise, but it's strange nonetheless. I don't know what you guys think about that, Brady. What's your number 8, my friend? I gotta drink more water when I'm talking by myself because my throat gets a little parched when I talk fast. Maybe I should just talk a little slower. I don't know. Um, Cody talked about Alien Resurrection. I almost brought that up today, but I didn't. Um, let's see. You're talking about Fast and the Furious going to space. Classic, yeah. Actually, I don't think I ever saw the one where they went to space. That's the one movie of the franchise I haven't seen yet. But I've heard about it. Yeah, Raymond talking about Nightmare. I don't like 2 because it basically says "F you" to the rules set in the first one. That's why I think it's just strange. But again, it worked for me. Brady, when you get to number 8, I'll read it. Oh, expanded more from his 10. Oh, 8. Okay, 8 is Cotton Candy Blood from Saw 3D. I see it there. Yeah, dude, that was fucking weird. And that is expanding on your 3D effect from number 10. It just doesn't look good. A franchise with so many good, gory kills, and that's what we ended on for a while. That was strange. Okay, moving on to number 7 for me. And again, this is another decision that works for me, but it is strange. And that's going to be the tone shift from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where it goes super gritty and just fucking gross and nasty and Leatherface slaying fools to like a straight, like almost more comedy than horror sequel with, Chop Top showing up, which he's great. A fun character, but, at all, Bill Moseley, he freaking knocks it out of the park. He's so entertaining in the movie. He's crazy. But it's just fucking the way it opens with the fucking Leatherface like on the truck going all that stuff. It's weird. Again, I like the movie. I like it a lot, actually. I think it's if I ranked all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, well, that's not saying a lot because most of them are trash, but it would definitely be in the top 3, probably, maybe 4. It's entertaining, it's fun. It's just a weird decision based on how much of an icon that first movie became. It was a strong, first movie. It became a fucking classic. And then that's what it followed up. And it had the same director, which is, you see this tone shift a lot in franchises where you go from one movie to the next and it doesn't quite feel the same. But this had the same director, which is kind of what makes it a little bit weirder. And I know Toby Hooper said he wanted to do this with his first movie, and that's what his intentions were. And I've heard that and I've seen that. But I just don't. It's just a very weird when you're watching the movies in order. Like the story doesn't even really follow up the first story all that much. I mean, it does a little bit, but it's just it's strange. And I don't know. Again, I like the movie on its own. I do. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a classic in the genre. I'm good with it. But we're talking weird decisions. That's definitely one of them. Because I know it threw a lot of people off. A lot of people don't like that movie. I know Birdie's one of them. He doesn't like it at all. And a lot of people don't. And I think it's because of that reason. But it's fun. I just don't watch it all that often. Let's see. Chris said he's going to have to go with the color grade and Saw footage. I'm going to have to color grade that Saw 7 footage up in the wazoo in the Saw timeline when I go to editing that chapter. Yeah, you will, buddy. You're going to have to do it. Cody said TCM2 was awesome. Yeah, it's split, man, because I think a lot of people do think it's awesome and a lot of people just don't like it. And I can see the reasons for both. I enjoy it a lot, but I can see why somebody wouldn't like it. If you want Texas Chainsaw to be that gritty thing that the first movie set out, you're not going to like it as much. Let's see what Birdie has to say. Oh, I love this. This is a good pick. Number 7 for Birdie, Change of the Myers House. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Yeah, I've talked about this before. What the fuck? That is a really good one. I briefly thought about putting this on this list, but we'll get to my thoughts on 5 here in a little bit. But that was fucking strange, man. They had this big ass fucking mansion, in there in Halloween 5. Now it's supposed to be the Myers house. Now, granted, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe the fucking dudes from what's it called, Fix It or Flip It or whatever, or Fixer Upper. Maybe they came on there and they fixed the house up, but it still looked like shit. It was old, like it didn't make any fucking sense at all. I don't know who like I think the dude who made 5 just didn't see the first movie. I think that's all. And they're like, oh, you got to have a house for Myers. That's where he's going to go back in the script. Okay, cool. Let me just pick this one. Didn't even bother to look at the one in the first movie because it doesn't look anything like it. And then in 6, they go back and it's a completely different house right after. I think they just got. I think what it really came down to is I think Michael Myers just forgot his fucking address. I think he went back to the wrong house. I don't know. I think maybe he told Loomis he lived in another address and that's where he wanted to meet, but he actually, was going to go back after he killed Loomis. He was going to go back to his real house. I don't know what there's really no logic behind it. It was fucking weird. Let's see what else we got. Talking about TCM2, Blu-ray Addict is definitely weird. Yeah, for sure, dude. Hell, yeah, Raymond, that's a good point. Halloween 6 not hiring Danielle Harris to play Jamie. If she's not old enough, don't do the story. I agree. I agree with that. That was a strange decision too. Let's see what's going on. Holly loves the Myers house in 5. It's very giallo. Yeah, it is. It's a cool house. It's just fucking weird. Like it doesn't make any sense. I think to me, the point of bringing the Myers house back in a Halloween movie is to give you a little bit of nostalgia. Like be like, oh, dude, we're going back to the first movie. But this doesn't do it. It's like, it just really confuses you more than anything. I was like, the whole time they kept showing the exterior shots of this house. And I said, that's not Myers' house. I don't know what they're showing, but that ain't it. And then they went inside and it was even worse. Like it was not even close to the same layout as the first movie. I don't know what the point was, but yeah, it looks cool for sure. It definitely could have worked in another movie. Like Chris said, let's see. Chester's number 7 is Michael unmasking and crying in Halloween 5. Uncle Boogeyman. Let me see you cry. That's a good one too. I didn't even think of that specific moment, but that's actually really good. That's definitely a what the fuck moment for sure. When we do the what the fuck for the Halloween franchises, I'll be bringing that one back. That's a good pick. Let's see. I guess I should probably get caught up here. Yeah, the cop music too, Chester. That shit was weird. What did I just say? Texas Chainsaw. Okay, number 6 for me. Moving on up. This is going to be Friday the 13th, part 5, specifically the decision to have a copycat killer come in the role of Jason. Now, actually, again, I don't think this movie's that bad. I think it's pretty enjoyable. It kind of goes back to kind of the vibes of the first movie a little bit because it kind of feels like a whodunit a little bit. You have some fun characters in there. You got the dildo guy and you got his aunt or mom or whatever cooking up stew. He's out there riding his bike around, gets his head knocked off. Got some good kills in here. A lot of them were, cut to fucking death, no pun intended, as far as the editing goes, unfortunately. But yeah, it was entertaining. It was fun, but it was just weird because like you kill off Jason in 4. Again, it's like, okay, final chapter. You did a good job. You told the story. You ended it. And Jason's dead and we can all go to bed on time. And we don't have to worry about him popping out of the closet or coming in through the back door or the front door for that matter. It doesn't really matter what door because he's deader than shit. He got macheted. But the fact that they did this whole fucking copycat. Could you imagine if they did that today? They did this epic horror franchise. We get 4 movies in. Everything's going great. We have a killer we love. That's a new icon. It's fucking great. It's epic. And he dies in 4. And then they all summer long, they're putting these new posters up and Jason's coming back and he's going to kill people again and all this stuff. And we go there and we watch that. And at the end, it's the fucking paramedic dude we see once in the movie. And he said, "You talking to me, boss?" After that dude gets chopped up over the chocolate bar. And it's like, this is it. Roy is who the killer is. Now, if it was Corey or something, it would have made sense. Or, if somebody, or if Rob came back, maybe he didn't die in that basement when he said he was killing me. Maybe that was just a ploy. Like maybe he came back and he something cool like that, maybe that could have worked, but some random paramedic dude that you don't even know with a killer hairdo, I must say, he looked good. That to me was very strange. And, again, I just don't think that, it would fly today. If that happened today, the social media would tear it apart, dude. Again, I'm glad it was made. I enjoy watching it. It's fun. Um, and you could have, you could have maybe have a moment where a copycat killer gets started, kind of like with Corey Cunningham, and then the real one comes back. Now, what's different here, as we'll get into that later. Birdie number 6 says telekinesis, Friday 13th part 7, A New Blood. I like that pick too. I thought about mentioning it, but I like that shit. I like it too much to even say it's weird, but it is weird. It's very strange. It counts. It definitely qualifies. It is just a lot of fun. Dr. Cruz, shout out, legend of the franchise. Good guy. Not really, but he tries. All right, here we go. Moving on in. Moving on in. Here we go. Number 4. Okay. This is a franchise I don't think we've ever talked about as a franchise on this channel. No, we've mentioned one of the movies a few times. We're going Jaws, baby. And today we're talking Jaws 4, The Revenge of Jigsaw's Pet Shark, whatever the fuck it was called. I can't remember the name of it, but it actually had a storyline. You guys are familiar with it, I'm sure, where a shark, a fucking shark, not shark like Michael Myers shark, but a real shark, went into water, follows Brody's wife down to the Bahamas to fucking kill her ass, to avenge his sister or brother or mom or dad or whatever fucking shark in his family was killed in the first movie, follows her down there and starts wreaking havoc in the Bahamas. Very fucking strange to have a redemption shark story in your friend. Now, granted, I could say the whole Jaws franchise is a weird decision because that too, kind of like The Exorcist, very strange. But I chose here today for this to be number 5 because it is just fucking weird. It doesn't make sense. I think there was a little bit of telekinesis going on as well in this movie with the mom. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I've only seen the movie once. I will never watch that one again, unless we have to do it for the channel. I'll do it. I'll do anything for the channel, but that's just fucking weird. Now there's people that love Jaws 4. Clearly not Rotten Tomatoes critics because it has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, but I get it. It has its fans and it's got a couple good moments. The opening's cool when that dude's arm gets bit off. That's really cool. There's a couple other little good moments in there as well, but the decision to have a revenge story from a shark. Yeah, Birdie says this time it's personal. Come on. You couldn't do you really can't do a sequel to Jaws anyway. But this is just fucking ridiculous, man. It's just fucking weird. Now, again, that's not to say there's not good moments in the movie. There is. It's got Michael Caine in there, which is cool, but it's just fucking that story decision. Come on. Okay, moving on. Birdie said number 5 for him, Seed of Chucky, all of it, the whole thing. Yes, I cannot agree more with you on that one. Get a little sip. We're going to move on here to number 4. Chris, this one's for you, my friend. We're going to go Saw 7, Saw 3D. We're not talking about the blood per se, but we are going to talk about is the decision to introduce this whole fucking side story with survivors. And we don't even, again, it's weird because we don't even fucking know these survivors. Like, there's a couple of them we knew literally from Saw 6 in there. And then, fucking Dr. Gordon's in the corner drinking coffee. But this whole story with the survivors coming back, which they're not really coming back because they're just getting debuted in this movie, was really strange. But really, again, the story itself could have worked. The survivor story, the survivor angle, it could have worked. But the problem here is the fact that this is the final chapter. This is where we end things. This is where we're gonna finish up the story with Hoffman and Jill, and we're gonna fucking kill it. We're gonna pick up the steam we got in 6, the momentum, how good that movie was, and we're gonna ride it through to the end, and we're gonna end this franchise with some dignity. But they introduce, it's kind of like the Corey Cunningham thing. You have a final chapter where you introduce this whole other story, this whole other game. And I know they wanted to have games in there. They wanted to have kills and it was 3D and you wanted to have all this blood. I think they could have found other ways to do that without fucking just creating this whole thing from scratch and doing this whole side story. I think it would have been that movie really just needed to be a personal Mark Hoffman story to end it out against Jill. They had a really good thing going at the end of 6, man. They really did. And I understand you had to kind of fill some gaps in there as well, just to run the runtime up a little bit, but I don't think it had to be as involved as it was at the end of the day. It could have been a little bit more like maybe you're killing off Jill's friends or something if you're Mark Hoffman. Like, because at this point he's still playing Kramer's games. This is a game that Kramer had set up. Why would you do that? You've gone rogue at this point. You're about to kill his wife. Why are you still working for him? Take all the skills you learned, all the traps that were designed for Jigsaw's game, and start fucking up Jill's friends. She probably has a few of them. So, start picking them off and like really just playing games with her. That could have been cool. But to do this whole fucking side thing, and all while Mark Hoffman's on the run from the cops and his face is all fucked up, and it's just fucking strange. To me, it's one of the things when I watch the movie, I just get pissed off, and I don't really care for any of those characters either. So that's also weird. Birdie says his number 4 is Texas Chainsaw 2 comedy and not as serious. We talked about it earlier. It's a great pick. I love it. I had it this high initially. I bumped it down. Chris is saying, I knew he would know a little bit about this. They wanted some other familiar faces to return, but didn't work out for one reason or another, like Daniel Matthews, but he was too old for what they wanted at the time. That's fair. And they should have had the survivors in the game try to save Bobby after learning he lied about being one himself. Yeah, that could have been cool. There's I think that idea could have worked in a different movie, not the final chapter. This one should have been a little bit more personal, a little bit more focused on Hoffman and Jill. And this to me is one of the first like really bad decisions I think that I've talked about. Jaws 4 was one, but come on. Here we go. What do you say? Hopefully the timeline when it's all in proper place makes sense. People feel slightly better on Saw 3D, but that's going to be a hard job to pull off. I think it helps because the time frame in that movie is just weird because it jumps ahead, but it doesn't really feel like it does, and it gets confusing. Raymond doesn't like Hoffman. He kills people for fun. John would have never allowed that. And yeah, I agree. That's why I think it would have been nice to see him just lean into the going rogue side of things. Bertie said, he noticed me drinking the Barks root beer. Of course, my friend. It's good. It's tasty. It's delicious. It's my favorite. Let's see what else we got going on here down the list. Number three. Let's get into the top 3. You guys have been talking about Halloween 5 a lot tonight. I'm going to talk about the decision they made to make Michael Myers a cult member, basically the protege, like the beast of a cult, the cult's use of death here in Michael. Starting in Halloween 5, moving on to Halloween 6, that whole decision just kind of fucking tanked the franchise, really. It just got strange. It was such a departure from the first movie. When you watch these movies from 1 to 6, it feels like a completely different ball game by the time you get to 5, and especially 6. And I like 6. I do. I think it's fun. You got some good kills. You got a badass Michael Myers. And I like the producer's cut, which leans even more into this fucking cult thing because, at least go for it. Make it make sense. You got to go producer's cut. You get the full story. But it's just strange. It kind of takes away from the first movie. It takes away from Michael stalking Laurie. It's all like, it's all done for the cult kind of thing. He's just sacrificing his family for the, and that's just that's not as scary. It's not as creative. It's not as dark. It's not as twisted. It's just fucking generic. And along with that decision itself, it just brings a lot of weird moments. It brings in, it brings in the man in black in 5. He's stepping on dogs. He's riding buses. Like you would think he's got more. I don't know why he's taking buses. Like he probably has a badass fucking, Batmobile looking thing. I'd say like a Cadillac, black. Of course it's black, chrome. I think that would probably be his ride. I don't know why he's riding buses, stepping on dogs. And it's just, it's just a really weird that part. Just every time you see the man in black pop up in Halloween 5, it just, you feel weird. Like you don't really know where it's going, nor did the creator of the movie, apparently. And then in 6, you get the whole story, you get the whole thing, you get this fucking stones and all this other stuff going on and the stars. And it's just, and then, okay, in the producer's cut, and then Michael has sex with his niece and they have a baby together. Like that's one of the things that gets spawned from this idea. And it's not consensual sex either. I said that very lightly. I just because I don't like, throwing the, R words out there because it's bad. But the point is, it's a weird fucking scene in general. And then they have the baby and he's chasing this baby in that movie, and it doesn't make any sense. And it's weird as fuck. And it just kind of makes you just think really weird things about Michael. Um, I don't know, man. I don't like the decision. This is one that I thought was really bad. Again, I like Halloween 6 in general. I have a good time with it, but you really just have to turn off your brain and just see Michael killing people. You can't think about it too much because you get fucking confused. The whole ending of 6 and the producer's cut. It's kind of cool, but it's also just like, what the fuck, I got to go with that here. To me, it's just like, I'm glad they went away from that. Again, could you imagine if they pulled that off? If Halloween 78 came out, like, 10, 15 years ago, and we're up to Halloween 6, and this is what they're doing, like, how much how much would we be talking about that? Like, how would social media be eating that up? That would be a fucking disaster. You thought Corey Cunningham was bad. You should see the fucking Corey Cunting. Wait. Coltingham is what I meant to say. Okay. Anyway, moving on. That's number 3. That's a good one. It's decent. Let's see what Birdie's number 3 was. Chester said number 3 was the opening from Resurrection. That's a good one. I like it. Blu-ray, the Cold of Thorn stuff comes out of nowhere. Yeah, and then he has that tattoo, which he never had before. That just kind of happened. We didn't even talk about the opening of 5 where he rides down the river and kills that fucking hermit guy. But that was weird too. But it all kind of comes in the same genre of the franchise, the same generation, I should say. Birdie's number 3 was Courtney Cox's bangs in Scream 3. That's a good one because that shit was fucking weird. I don't know who decided that. I don't know if that was Courtney Cox herself. Somebody wanted her to change her look. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. That's fucking weird. That's a good pick. Drinking that root beer. Chris isn't a fan of the Thorn thing, but he has a soft spot for 5 and 6. Doesn't like that aspect. Yeah, same. Let's see. Here we go. What else we got? Trying to keep up with the chat. It's kind of hard when you're by yourself, Birdie. I know you've had to do it a couple times. Michael Joe, what's up? Welcome. We're having fun tonight, talking some weird ass moments in horror franchises. Weird decisions, you could say. Creative decisions. Mud said Chucky having a son / daughter in Seed. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, man. That was strange. Blu-ray, yeah, the ending of 5 where he's sitting in jail and he's got that mask on. He's like, oh, I got caught today. They're going to get me coffee in the morning and I'm going to get out. I don't know. Okay. Moving on to number 2, I guess. We talked about one comedic shift earlier. We're going to talk about another one now. That's Freddy's Dead. Friday 13th, part 6. Freddy's Dead. Now, the franchise trended this way for a few movies in a row. Freddy Krueger was getting a little bit less scary, a little bit more goofy. It happens with old age. I mean, it just happens. But by the time, 5 was still pretty creepy. I hate 5, and I almost hate it more than I hate 6 because I think it's just more boring. And I can have a little bit more fun with Freddy's Dead, but I don't like what they did with it. And they changed it to, they took every horror aspect out of it, entirely. And they 100% comedy. This movie opens with Freddy Krueger flying a balloon. No, a broom outside acting like he's from Wizard of Oz. He's looking for the Wicked Witch. I guess they, got married in a past life. I don't know. He's trying to reconnect with her. There's a floating house up there. It's catching on fire. Freddy's out there fucking, oh, you'll catch me, your pretty, and I'll catch your dog. Whatever I'm going to catch you, my pretty, and your dog too. He doesn't really sound like Pennywise in the movie, but he might as well. It wouldn't be any different if he did. I think that all that was strange. The opening was strange. The power glove, even the kills are goofy. You had the whole thing with the power glove, and he's playing that guy in the video game, and he's jumping around like Mario, and he's like busting through walls and doing these little spinaroonies, and there's water shooting out, and it plays really weird music, like funky music. And then you have actually what I think is one of the coolest kills in the movie, but it's still very comedic, is when he goes down there with that deaf guy and he takes out his hearing aid, and he's sitting there behind him, and he's like jumping around, and like he's scratching that fucking board, and his head explodes, and he's dropping pins down there, and like The dude's trying to catch the pins because he doesn't, like I said, at one point he cranks up the volume to 11 on his hearing aid. So every little mini sound is making like explosions in his head. So he's dropping all these screws and the guy's like, oh, and he catches it and he's like, oh, that was a close call. And then he fucking gets that whiteboard out or that blackboard and he fucking stretches it and he's like, and just fucking the dude's head explodes. That was crazy. And also before that, he takes that Q-tip and sticks it right in there. That was crazy too. There's some other good kills in there too that were actually pretty funky, but it just feels weird, man. Overall, I just think it's just too far. Obviously, I think everybody does. It's the most hated movie in the franchise. Yeah. Cody, nice hearing from you, Carlos. And you have that moment where they're riding around with the map and it says they're fucked and it gets like this big, like they're the map's like filling up the whole back of the van they're in. They're going around in circles for hours. Johnny Depp's in there. It's very strange. Again, I somewhat get entertained by it, but not really as a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It's not at all what the original intent was. It's so far removed from the first movie, and it's very jarring. But at the end of the day, I'm not ashamed to say that it entertains me a little bit more so than Jason 8, more so than Jason Goes to Hell, more so than Nightmare 5. I mean, it's fucking. You can have a good time with it. I think if if you're drinking or not, you can still have a good time. Let's see whatever the other number twos we have. Chester says Seed of Chucky for him. That's a good point. Birdie says Jason Goes to Hell. Everything. That's a good point as well. Blu-ray said Freddy's Dead is like a Saturday morning cartoon. It is, man. It plays out that way. It's crazy. Then he has that moment where that dude's falling out of the plane and he's parachuting. He cuts the parachute. That was cool. But then he gets down there and he pushes those spikes out like it is like a cartoon, like a fucking the Roadrunner cartoon specifically, where he's trying to just fucking sabotage him. He pulls those spikes out like he fucking would have survived if he landed on the concrete. You have to go a step farther and put spikes out. Lands on it, gets impaled. Cool kill. I mean, the movie I think actually had some cool kills in it. Like at the very least, like they were creative. They were just fucking. It was weird. It was very jarring, and I see why people just don't like the movie, and I really like it either. It's near the bottom of my list for all the big three, but I don't necessarily think it's a boring movie. See if anything else is going on here. The only thing I liked about Freddy's Dead is the opening Goo Goo Dolls song. Yeah, that opening song was pretty cool. The opening credits was kind of cool. In general, the whole story there with the fucking your daughter growing up, like all this stuff, and it was just fucking weird. Okay, let's go. Let's move on to the number one. If you guys have any questions or anything after that, I'll answer them. But let's get number one out of the way. That's going to be Jason Goes to Hell, Birdie. I'm with you. It's going to be specifically the decision to turn this franchise into a possession franchise, but going so much farther than Nightmare on Elm Street ever thought of doing in number two. It's just fucking strange, man. Like, again, it's like when you're watching when you're franchising these movies, you start at 1, you end at 10, the original movies. When you get to 9, you're like, did I even put the right disc in? We're doing some weird shit. There's fucking worms like going into vaginas, family vaginas. There's people getting strapped down on fucking tables, like getting shaved, and there's fucking like people melting and stuff. And there's body hopping. Guys are eating hearts. There's exploding hearts, and then you eat the heart, and then you turn into a fucking Jason, and then Jason's turning into this guy, and like you never know who Jason is, which is, again, it's a cool movie on its own because you're like, okay, this is like this body jumping horror movie. There's weird shit. There's worms. There's a fucking epic tent scene with a fucking pole ripping through some titties. But it's like, dude, this isn't a Jason movie. This is a very strange decision. I don't know what, like, I get it. You had to do something different here. But I think maybe you should just let it die after 8, or maybe after 7, maybe after 6. Because it was just like, again, I think it's slightly less boring than 8, but it's not a Friday the 13th movie at all. There's really nothing about it that resonates with the first movie or the first 8 movies for that matter. It's just fucking weird, man. You have fucking Freddy burgers or I'm sorry, Jason burgers. Now, the one thing that was cool at the end was the fight, and they send him to hell, and Freddy pops up. That was kind of cool. I like that, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they were supposed. I don't know what they were. What kind of audience they were trying to appeal to. It just didn't work for me. Birdie's number one is Dog Fire Piss from Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Master. That's a good fucking. That's a good one. I like that, and that'll definitely be on my what the fuck list when we do the franchise, or even probably all the franchises. I'll put that on there. That was his Freddy's resurrection scene. That's a good list, Birdie. What the fuck resurrections? We should do that. Put that on the list. That'd be fun because I like that. You also, you have a few other ones in there as well that we could talk about. That could be fun. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I mean, that's my list. There's a lot of weird moments out there. There's a lot of weird decisions that were made. And again, this wasn't necessarily weird moments as much as it was weird decisions for the franchise. And to me, I think a lot of these decisions, some of them are good, but they all probably could have been done better at the end of the day. Again, I love how it ends, but Corey Cunningham was a weird decision. And, the same could be said about a couple of these other ones. Let's see. Yeah. Ends for me. Let's have Michael try to adopt a foster child sidekick and get it manhandled. This is from Cody Snyder in a sewer where he's pretty much a floating turd. Yeah. That happens. And that is exactly what happened to Jason too. But that's my list, man. We got through it solo dolo. I didn't really know how to do it, but I did it anyway. It was an interesting experience. I like having Birdie here, though. It's fun having Birdie around. I know the people miss Birdie. Birdie will be back hopefully next week. Hopefully, you get to be feeling better, my friend, as we continue our progress and continue to go towards that real March Madness next month in March. It's going to be an epic list. We kind of finalized the list. We might go over it one more time to make sure everything's good, but that bracket should be coming out for you guys here pretty soon. And there's some great movies on there. It's going to be another tough tournament. Looking forward to that one. It's always our favorite show. One of our favorite shows is all the tournaments we do. And I know you guys like it a lot too, based on the feedback we usually get from it. So excited for that night. We're going to be talking action movies, all of them, all decades. I don't know if we have anything on there prior to the 80s, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't think we do. Maybe we do. I don't know. I have to go back and look, but that's okay because that's really when the action genre took off. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to drop that. Can't wait to get your opinions on it. Can't wait to see what y'all's list looks like. I think, Birdie, I don't know what we have coming up next week off the top of my head. I don't know if we even have anything planned out yet, but just keep an eye on our socials. We'll let you know for next Thursday. Oh, next week's my birthday on Friday. So I think what we might do is a birthday stream of some sort. And I think what we might do is, Birdie, if you're good with it, we might do another People's Trivia Night. I thought that was a lot of fun. We did that last few months ago. And we asked the questions. Y'all answered it. I think that'd be fun. I think you guys had a good time with it, and we enjoyed asking trivia questions. So, Birdie, if you're good with that, we'll do that. And we'll have some fun with that. We got the cards, we got the questions, and we'll have fun with that. If anything changes, if we decide to do something else, I'll let y'all know. But I think that's kind of what I was leaning towards. I think that'll be fun. David, good to see you. So we'll be back in there for that. And then Birdie's got a birthday around the corner as well. We'll be planning that. And we're going to have a good time. So I appreciate y'all being here tonight, being patient with me as I talked a lot by myself and, kind of got my way through this. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the list, going over some of these moments, these decisions. And I guess at the end of the day, I will take myself the final word. Yes, Cody, I was born in the 90s. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out. No!